let's go ahead and get to work with our day today. We're going to start our day with an activator or bell ringer. Once again, let's make sure we're muted. Ms. Neville's going to try sharing your screen one more time. There we go. And we've got two problems here that we're going to work through today. Please take some time to write down these problems. Let me give those directions again. Please make sure you write down those problems. Sorry, y'all, excuse me. Children come in late to class. All right, so we're going to write down our two bell ringers here. Two questions for our bell ringer today. With number one, we're creating, once again, if you can't see my screen, the lesson is being recorded. With number one, this is both of these are throwbacks, but I also want to make sure that we get some practice in, making sure that we're getting more comfortable with equations. With number one, I'm going to write a number one here. With number one, we want to write an XY equation. In other words, how does X get to Y? What pattern are we following? Okay, you're going to want to draw this chart. We see between X and Y, the relationship there is that they increase, the Y increases, okay? And when these numbers increase, it's using addition or multiplication. Number two, you're going to want to also write down this example and draw the number line. I'll give you some time to get that done. Ms. Neville will go on with class at 12:36. You've got 5 minutes. I'm calling on a non-volunteer. Not trying is not an option. No one's being graded on this lesson. So I want you to try, because that's the only way you get better and you're prepared for your test on Thursday. 5 minutes. Please copy these down and work to solve them. It may be a good idea to go back and look at your notes. All right. So let's get to work here. Milena, can you walk me through what you're thinking? I don't want an answer yet, but tell me what you're thinking, even what you're confused with when you look at number 1.
I'm kind of confused with the X and Y.
Okay. So when we're looking here, thank you for that feedback, Milena. So when we're looking here, this row, this top row is my X row, and this bottom row is my Y row. What we're doing is writing an equation that will explain how we get from this X number, this number in our X row, to this number in our Y row. So how could I get from one, Milena, I want you to stay with me here. How do I get from 1 to 2? What could I do? What operation could I use?
Addition?
I could. What would I add?
1 plus 1?
Yeah. So let's see. So now what we've done, Milena, is created a rule. You see the rule Miss Neville's written?
Yes, ma'am.
So we've got to see if this rule, X plus 1, will equal whatever Y is. Let's see if that rule works as we move to 2. Will X plus 1, will this rule work?
No.
No. So if it's not adding 1, what else could I have done to get from 1 to 2?
Multiplied?
Multiplied by what?
2.
Yeah, so let's try to see if that rule works. And Milena, I want you to check my footwork here. I want you to see how Miss Neville writes multiplying by 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever that 2 is beside my X, when 2 is my coefficient, this means multiplying. So let's see if this rule works. 1 times 2, Milena, will it equal 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Let's see if that rule works here. Does it work here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, it works all the way through. So to write an equation for this chart is basically to find our pattern or rule. That XY chart follows. That's what we want to look at here. Okay. Thank you for your help, Milena. Okay, let's look at number, let's look at number 2. Do I have Jacoby here with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Jacoby. So we're looking at number 2, and I want us to treat this like an equation. We see 2 times Q. Q is our variable. Jacoby, what's the opposite of multiplication?
Division.
Division. Yep. So if I'm multiplying by 2 here, to get that to isolate my variable, I have to divide by 2. Go ahead and mute yourself, Jacoby. And whatever I divide by on this side, because now I have my Q by itself, I have to do it on the other side. So 24 divided by 2. If you don't know that off the top of your head, but you should, tell me using your calculator, what is 24 divided by 2? Anyone?
12.
12.
12.
So now our first step here is now we've solved our inequality, or we're able to see all of the solutions that our answer could be. Remember, with an inequality, we get more than one solution. It's not like an equation we can get more than one solution. So now we have to graph this. What this is telling us is 12 is greater than any number. So on my graph, I would put a circle over my 12 and then shade any number greater or any number less than 12. Why would I do, give me a second, let me get my colors right. Why would I do any number less than 12? Why would I shade this way? In other words, why do these two things match? Another way I could write it is like this. Maybe that's easier for us to see. So if we read this inequality, and I want you to write down what you see Miss Neville write down. If we read this inequality, this is saying Q, or any number less than 12. So any number less than 12. Is 12 less than 12?
No.
No, it's equal to it. So I'm not going to shade this. I'm going to put a circle over the 12, and I'm going to shade any number that is less than 12 on my number line. Take some time to finish writing that down. If you've not finished writing it down, I want you to know this lesson is being recorded. If your screen glitches to where you can't see, I want you to know this lesson is being recorded so you can watch it later on. So hopefully our brain is getting back into math after being off for 2 days. Let's go ahead and get started with where we're going next. There's some things I want you to remember here, and there's some things that I can tell that we've been struggling with during our whole group instruction. In your notes, put a star beside this, and it should say things to remember. Whenever I see this, what operation is 4 and what are 4 and 3? What's going on between 4 and 3 here?
Multiplication.
Yeah. I want to make sure I know that when I have a number or a letter, it could have been a variable, in parentheses, I am multiplying these two terms together. What about here? What's happening between the 4 and the R? Yeah, I can tell this is a struggle for everyone. Whenever I see that 4 right beside the R, that's multiplication as well. This is the one that I've seen you guys struggling with during our whole group instruction. I can hear crickets. Nobody says anything, and that's okay. I want to make sure we know. What operation do I see between the 4 and R here?
Division.
This is division. In other words, we're saying Didn't know if I have enough room. I made it though. I'm gonna make it work. 4 divided by R. 4 divided by R. It's important for us to know too, you might see it like this. That means the same thing. Okay? So these are some things I wanted to make sure you remembered. Specifically this one, because it seems like you guys struggle with this one a little bit. Whenever I see that coefficient, please label it like Miss Neville is. Whenever I see that coefficient beside that variable, what that tells me is that I am multiplying those two terms. We're about to go on. So in our notes, let's write down more signs. And this doesn't need to be huge in your notes. I just made it big so you could see it. We see this sign. Does anyone know what this sign is called? We see the less than. This sign means less than or equal to. This sign means greater than or equal to. Please take some time to write this in your notes. You may want to color over it lightly, highlight it so that you know the difference between these, because for most of us, this is our first time seeing these signs, and that's okay. Miss Neville is about to go on. So example 1, let's write this down today, please. Example 1, I'm sick of using purple. Let's try another color. Y'all already know I'm about to go to green. So example 1, and you do need to write this down today. And this will be example 2. Okay? The sum of, what's that mean? What's sum mean?
Addition.
Addition. The sum of 19,999 and P is greater than or equal to 26,000. So I know sum of these two numbers is greater than or equal to 26,000. So let's do the easy part first. The sum of 19,999 and what number? Do we know the number?
No.
Nope. Plus P is greater than or equal to 26,000. What I did first was I highlighted or annotated. I looked for my important information. And then I use that information like directions, okay? Any questions with example 1? Ms. Neville, how did you get? It should have been pretty straightforward, but it may not have been. And so I want to make sure if you have any questions for me, you let me know. All right, let's move on to example 2. 3.14 divided by h is negative 15.7 or less. So let's look here. Let's do our first part. 3.14 divided by h is less than, that's where it is, less than or equal to negative 7. All I did was look for my important information, and I used that information like directions. Step 1, I wrote down what that information told me first. The first part of that important information, 3.14 divided by h, is, that lets me know I'm going to have that equal to sign down there, or less, negative 15.7. So all we've done is we've written these as inequalities. Remember, Ms. Neville's recording this lesson if I'm going too fast for you. So we're going to write some more inequalities today. And you want to write this in your notes. You want to write this in your notes, writing inequalities. And this is examples 3 and example 4. Look at what we're going to do here. I see some key words I don't want to forget. F minus 8. I'm going to write that just as simple. F minus 8 is less than 2. I know I got a 2 in here. Does this say less than or equal to, or does it just say less than? So this is what that says. F minus 8, a number minus 8 is less than, will not be as big as 2. Example 4, y over 50. I'm glad I chose this example because I want you to make sure when you see that y over 50, that's what that looks like. It's talking about putting it over a fraction bar. And what operation does this mean? Can someone come on the mic and let me know?
Division.
Division. Y divided by 50 is 4 or more. Whenever I see that is there, and when I see that more there, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to.
Greater than.
Very good. I want to make sure that you wrote both of these down and their inequalities. If you've not finished them, you should have some time, because now we're going to solve these. And I'll use my Garnet, go Cox, my Garnet to solve these. So we have f minus 8 is less than 2. What's the first thing remember, we're treating this like an equation. Like an equation. We solve it like an equation. Can someone tell me what's the first step here? Remember, what do I have to get by itself? My variable. So if 8 is being subtracted here, what's the opposite of subtraction?
Addition.
So if the 8 is being subtracted, 8 now has to be added. That cancels out these. Now my f is by itself. What is 2 plus 8?
10.
10. So f is, oh my goodness, I got the sign wrong. Sorry, y'all. So f is any number less than 10. So could f be 4? Yes or no? Say it on the mic.
Yes.
Yes.
Could
it's less
f
than
be 16?
10. No.
No.
It could not be. When you see an equal sign with a cross through it, that means not equal to. Could f be -2?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so f could be any number. You see how there's multiple solutions here? F could be any number that is less than 10. Take some time to write down what you see there in Garnet. Miss Neville is about to erase it. Okay, so let's delete what we see there in Garnet. Somebody come on the mic real quick. Are you able to see what kid that is that keeps coming into the room, who's waiting to come in?
Jackson.
Okay, give me a second. Okay, now let me share my screen again. All right, so now let's look at example. Now let's look at example 4, and we're going to work to solve this one. Okay, y over 50 is greater than or equal to 4. What do I have to do first? Someone come on the mic and let us know.
Move your variable away from the 50.
Yeah, I've got to get it away from my 50. So if y is being divided by 50, I have, or 1/50th, I have to multiply it by 50. So if I do that, they're going to cancel out. Whatever I multiply by on over here on the left side, I have to multiply by on my right side as well. So can someone use their calculators and let us know? Or you can just use the rule of 0. What is 4 times 50?
Do you want us to wait to answer that question?
I can't hear you, sweetie. You're really low.
Do you want us to wait to ask that?
No, you could answer it out loud. I just did it with the rule of 0. So 4 times 5 is 20. Then I want to add a 0 because 4 times 50 would be 200. I just added a 0 to my product. So y is greater than or equal to 200. So could y, make sure you're writing down everything Miss Neville is. So could y be 200?
Yes.
Yes. Could y be 199?
Yes.
No. Y is any number that is greater than or equal to 200. So could y be 301?
No.
No.
Yes, it can. Y can be any number that is greater than 200.
I was thinking less than, not.
It's okay. That's why we're practicing with it. Emily, are you able to see my screen today?
A little bit. Every once in a while, it'll glitch where I can only see a quarter of the screen.
Well, good. I'm glad. Good. So, guys, that is inequalities when we're working with writing them. And what we were doing in Garnet today was evaluating them. Now we're going to get some, I think we are. Now we're going to get some more practice with graphing. Let's see if Miss Neville put graphing up. Yes, she did. So you don't have to write this out, okay? But it may be wise for you to look at how Miss Neville annotates this. Remember, when I talk about annotating, that may be a bonus question on a test soon, hint, hint, hint. When I talk about annotating, I am looking for and identifying important information. Okay, so let's get cracking. When cooking a turkey, the recommended internal temperature of the turkey is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. A lower temperature will undercook the turkey. So guys, could I cook that turkey at 155 degrees?
No.
No, that's lower than. Okay, so what we want to do is write and graph our inequality. Now let's switch to green. Write and graph our inequality. And we want to make sure we know we're using T for the temperatures at which the turkey will be undercooked. So T must be greater than or equal to 165. And I'm sorry I wrote that crooked. I'm going to fix that for you. It's going to bother me. I'm sure y'all don't mind, but it's tearing my nerves up. T is greater than or equal to 165. The temperature at which that turkey has to be cooked has to be greater than 165. Remember what it said? Anything lower than that, yeah, the turkey will still be bloody on the inside. It'll be pink. So let's look here at our chart. Now we're going to graph this inequality. When we graph, and I want to make sure you're listening here, when we graph an inequality, you know how we have been using the open circle? When we're graphing less than or greater than or equal to, when our sign has that at the bottom, we color in our bubble. What does Miss Neville mean? Look here. I'm going to find 165, color in my bubble, and shade any number over 165. I'm going to shade any number over, I do not want the eraser, 165. So could I cook my turkey at 180 degrees? I need somebody to speak up for me. Could I cook my turkey at 100, or could the inside of my turkey be 180 degrees?
Yes.
Yes. Could my turkey be 90 degrees on the inside?
No.
No. That's less than. Okay? So T has to be greater than or equal to 165. The big thing to take away from this is that we shaded that in with a dark bubble. When we just have, we'll write this on our notes. When we just have it like that, we're going to have an open bubble. But when we have it with the or equals to sign, we're going to have a closed in bubble. You may want to write that in your notes. It's going to be in your textbook assignment today. Okay, so let's look at example 2. Let's look at example 2. Example 2, a commercial jet travels at 885 kilometers per hour. Engineers have designed other aircraft to travel even faster. Write an inequality that is true for speeds of these other aircraft. So there's some highlighting we got to do here. A commercial jet travels, oh Lord, a commercial jet travels at 885 degrees. I don't want to forget that. 885 kilometers. Engineers have designed other aircraft to travel even faster. I want to highlight that. That's going to be important. Write an inequality that is true only for speeds S. That's the variable we're going to use for these other aircraft. Okay? So let's look here. we see we have to have 885 and we have to have S. Other aircraft can go even faster than a commercial jet. Does even faster mean less than or equal to or greater than or equal to?
Greater than and equal to.
It's actually less than. Let's talk about why. If I can go faster than a jet, I'm going to be greater than 885 kilometers. Let me say that again. This is less than, because if I can go, that's what the S means, any other plane that can go faster than the jet. If I can go faster than a jet, I'm going to go higher than, I'm going to fly higher, faster than 885. So when we are drawing this or graphing this, I'm going to find 885, draw a solid dot, and shade any number above 885. The key here, y'all, was faster. Faster tells me the number is going to be greater than 885. Okay? So you could have written it this way and possibly it would have been less confusing. So let's write it that way. And I'll erase the first one. So Emily, you were technically right. Miss Neville had it backwards.
It's okay, things happen.
Thank you so much. All right. So as we're moving on today, we're going to do some more practice with graphing. If you would please write these down as examples 5 and 6 today. Write these down as examples 5 and 6 today. And today you and I are going to practice some more. This is some guided practice today. We're going to practice some more with not only solving, evaluating this, but graphing it as well. So you'll see there are some incomplete graphs here. So before we even work with the inequalities over there on the left, I want to finish this graph here, okay? So let's look over on our right. What comes after 1/8?
2A.
2/8. Right in the middle is going to be 4/8. So that'll help me out with spacing. Then we'll have 3/8.
4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8.
Very good. Oh my goodness.
What?
I wrote 5/6. Okay. Very good. So what we see here, we have our graph completed. What we see here is it says R over 4 is less than or equal to 1/8. There's some stuff we've got to do here. So R over 4. What operation is happening between R and 4 right now?
Division.
Division. So the opposite of division is multiplication. I had to flip my fraction. So what's going to happen is now That's going to cancel out, okay? And now I just have my r by itself is less than or equal to, and now I have to just multiply straight across. So, what is 1 times 4?
4.
And what is 8 times 1?
8.
8.
So r is less than or equal to, please mute yourself, please mute yourself. R is less than or equal to 4/8. So over 4/8, am I going to draw an open dot or a colored in dot?
Open.
It's actually going to be colored in. Remember the equals and less than or equal to. It's going to be colored in. And anything that is less than 4/8, anything that is less than 4/8, I'm going to shade that direction. That's what R would be. Now, please take some time to do example 6 on your own. You're going to have 5 minutes, and I'm going to call on a non-volunteer after 5 minutes. Please get to work.
Can't see it, Miss Neville.
I'm sorry, sweetie. It's being recorded. Everyone should be working to solve example 6 and complete your number line. That's the first thing I would do, is make your number line. Fill in that blank space between -30 and -20. Remember, the more I go, I think it's to your right, the closer I go to -20, the bigger my numbers should become, or the smaller my numbers should become. So -29, -28, -27. All right, Caitlin, are you here? Okay, guys, so let's look here. As I'm making my number line, what number is between -30 and -20? -25. So -29, -28. Got to make our lines a little bit. Here we go. -27, -26. Okay, so we've got our number line created. Now let's work on our inequality. Okay, -108 is less than or equal to 4. What are 4 and E doing? What operation is happening between these two terms? This is multiplication, guys. So, can someone tell me what is the opposite of multiplication?
Division.
So, if I was multiplying by 4, I'm going to divide by 4 to isolate my variable. And what is -108 divided by 4? Feel free to use your calculators. Get on the mic and tell me what the answer is when you got it.
-27.
-27. So, E, I want to write this the correct way. E is greater than or equal to -27. So is my dot going to be shaded in or an open dot? Will it look like this or will it look like this?
Shaded in.
It's going to be shaded in. Okay. And greater than, E is greater than or equal to -27. Let's think of it like this. Before we shade in which direction, think about your bank account. Would you want to owe the bank $30 or would you want to owe the bank $26? Which one is better?
26, they'd eventually take the rest because of taxes.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, you are correct. So 26, anything this way is going to be greater than -27. What this is telling me is that E represents some number that is equal to or greater than -27. Okay, let's finish our shading and we're going to move on. I think it's small group after this. If not, it is going to be. So we're going to move into small group instruction. With the following students, and you got an email earlier. Let me stop sharing my screen. With the following students, please stay in class after Everyone else is dismissed to get to work. Stop recording.